You are listening to the Slow Living Podcast, and I'm your host, Stephanie O'Day. What if I told you that you could truly have the life of your dreams, the life you've always wanted, one filled with abundance, joy, and a sense of purpose? It's absolutely possible, and I see it each and every day with my coaching clients. It all starts with learning how to slow down. You deserve to live the life you've always dreamt about. Let's get started. So if you're a fan of the podcast, you're going to absolutely love the book. Slow Living, Cultivating a Life of Purpose in a Hustle-Driven World is now available wherever books are sold. Buy it for yourself, your children, your friends, and your neighbors. You can get all the juicy details at stephanieoday.com/slow living book. Trust me, this is hands down the best $20 you'll ever spend. Hello, Slow Down Society. Steph here, and we are on episode 177 of the Slow Living Podcast. And thank you for being here. Today, we're going to talk about living a B+ life, not an A+, not an overachiever's life, not a hustle culture, go. It's not good enough until it's absolutely perfect life. But B+, not B-, not C, not average. I think we can decide we can live an above average life. But I want you to take a deep breath and blow it out slowly and realize that wherever you are, you're okay. And it may not be perfect, and it may not be Instagrammy or Pinterest perfect or something, but chances are, in many aspects of your life, you are doing great. And living a B+ life is A-OK. So this comes up an awful lot. So it's really interesting. So I'm recording this President's Day weekend. And where we live, we have a whole week off of work. And work meaning I work in a public school setting. And so we have President's Week off. In some school districts, they call this week Ski Week. And depending on where you live, you might call it Ski Week. But to be a little bit more inclusive, we're calling it President's Week because not all people ski over this week. And actually, the idea of calling it Ski Week is a little elitist because, skiing is kind of expensive. Not everyone can take an entire week off to go skiing and that kind of stuff. And it's really interesting because over the last few days, people have been talking about, oh, what are you going to do over the break? Are you going to do something or do something? And depending on whom I talk to, their shoulders slump a little and they look down at their feet and they sort of confess that maybe they're not doing anything huge, or maybe they're not doing anything, or maybe they can't afford it, or maybe they're choosing on purpose not to. But it's this idea that if they don't have something magical and amazing and jaw-dropping to share, that they're doing something wrong. And no, that's not it. Your life is your life. You get to decide what it's all about. And you're not living your life to impress others. And so I kind of want to say that again. Pay attention. I mean, we're in this social media landscape where people feel like they have to show off in order to feel worthy. And you are worthy right here, right now. We're talking about slow living, and slow is an acronym to simply look only within. You are doing what's right for you and what's right for your family. And for many of us, the correct thing to do is to completely and totally unplug and do nothing and catch up on sleep. Catch up on binge watching your favorite shows. Catch up on your reading of novels. You do not need to show off to anyone in order to feel worthy or to feel like you're doing things correctly. So again, you are living your life. You are not living a life so other people can feel envious of you. And if that means maybe in your brain, you have to kind of settle for good enough is good enough, do that. I want you to strive for living a B plus life. I certainly do not want you to ever live as if you have something to prove to anyone outside of yourself. And that doesn't mean that maybe you don't push yourself a little hard during a workout or while on a run, but you're doing it for you, not to show off for anyone else. Good enough is good enough. This came up in my own life in this past week. So I've got kids in college right now, and one's in grad school, and another one is graduating this year, and then we'll come home for a bit before grad school. And so Adam and I were talking about, well, we probably should kind of facelift their bathroom because all three kids will be home again. And their bathroom's a little gross. It's the original bathroom from the house when we bought the house. We've updated some things slowly and steadily, but we have not updated the kid bathroom. So there are two sinks in there, but the shower's gross and old. That room doesn't ventilate well. The linoleum is kind of gross. The floor slopes a little. The toilet is old and overflows often, and it needs updating. Like it legit needs updating. We've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And in my brain, we don't redo that bathroom unless we also redo my my own master bathroom and perhaps maybe move some stuff around and extend our bathroom into a closet and part of the kids' bathroom because the walls are back up against each other. And in my brain, it's a luxurious master bathroom with a very functional kid bathroom. And the tile is replaced. And while we're at it, we rip out all of the carpeting in the hallways and put in hardwood and just make it just so. Adam and I use that term, just so. And Adam pointed out, no, there's we can't wait to make everything just so. We have to do this for the kids, and this is the right thing to do for the kids. And holding off on the huge remodel, which would cost an exorbitant amount of money, is not in the cards right now and not in the budget. And it's just not feasible to have two upstairs bathrooms not working at the same time. It's just not going to happen. And so I had to come to terms with that. And in a way, I sort of felt like I was settling. I was settling for something that wasn't the ideal, that wasn't the A, that was okay, I get it. And I had to come to terms with that. I had to feel all those feels, but act on the fact. And the fact is, okay, these are first world problems. I do not need an HGTV master bedroom and ensuite right now. It's fine. Making something functional that has good airflow for the kids so mold doesn't accrue is more important. So I needed to settle for a B plus. So think about that in your life where perhaps maybe you are procrastinating and you're not taking steps forward because you want it this perfect way. And you know that can't happen. So instead, you're just not doing anything. And not doing anything is well, it'll keep you stuck. It'll keep you in the same place over and over and over again. And it doesn't feel good to be kind of running on that perpetual hamster wheel. So in the integrity of our family and for future resale value for this house, if we ever resell it, having an updated kid bathroom is absolutely the correct thing to do. And so we are going to move forward. Am I slightly, maybe, perhaps a little tiny bit bummed? Yes. And that's okay. I'm a grown up. I can feel that bummed feeling and still move forward. And I think it's just something for you to kind of pay attention to. And maybe it's reimagining what your vision is. And if you are wishing and hoping and praying for something to fall in place in the exact perfect or way that you've envisioned, and something comes up that's not that way, okay, pause for a second and decide, is this good enough? Is it good enough for government work? Is it good enough that it will actually make our lives a little bit better? And that is the correct path for us to take. It doesn't mean that later down the road, you can't do something else also, but continuing to move forward in this way and deciding that a B plus is good enough. And especially if it keeps you from kind of that analysis paralysis where you're always over researching or trying to figure out the perfect best way, is not worth it. I was on a coaching call with with a client who was talking about how she had been waiting to take a certain family vacation because she wanted it in this way. She wanted a specific hotel on this specific beach. But then this other version of the vacation came up and that her in-laws were going to pay, but it wasn't going to be at this particular beach hotel that had been on her like Pinterest board for eons. And so she had to decide whether or not accepting this, in her mind, lesser version of this family vacation was worth it. And it sounds so silly when you say it because most people would be like, well, no kidding, take the free vacation. But she had it in her brain for so long in this particular way that she sort of felt like it wasn't happening. So a few episodes ago, 175, we had talked about bringing your vision to life. Have some wiggle room in your vision. Have some wiggle room for living it in a way that a B plus is good enough, and it's just okay. Another thing that comes up pretty often on coaching calls is decluttering. So the first step in living a slow life is to declutter the things that aren't working for you. And so a lot of people get hung up on what decluttering looks like because they spent so long like following a Marie Kondo way of doing it. Like the best way to declutter your closet or your attic or your garage is to empty it completely and fully and then put back the pieces that you really want and discard the rest. But in order to do that, you might need to take a week off work, or you might need hours and hours if we're looking at a decluttering project of your closet, of emptying everything and then wiping down the baseboards and finding new storage and doing all this. I don't let you do that because you're procrastinating. You're not making forward progress if you have it in this way that it has to be one way and one way only, or if it's not going to be good enough. No, do it in the B plus way. Do it in a way where you're setting a timer for 10 minutes and you go in and you just get rid of a few things at a time in those 10 minutes. And you're revisiting your closet or your attic or your garage 10 minutes a day until it's done. And maybe it takes 3 months. Great. But then it's done. So think of that in your own life. I'm going to read something for you that I wrote. My publicist asked me to write something about the American dream and kind of reimagining the American dream. And I think that definitely plays into this B plus life, that not everything has to be perfectly perfect in order to be good enough. So I'm just going to read it to you. So it's called The American Dream Reimagined. You probably grew up hearing that the American dream meant that when you quote unquote grew up, you'd have a steady job that paid the bills, your own home, and happy marriage with 2.5 kids and maybe even a golden retriever behind your very own white picket fence. For decades, Hollywood, advertisers, and the media have sold this vision as the ultimate goal and the pinnacle of success. There are countless self-help and personal development books written each year promising that if you just worked hard enough, you too could make this vision your reality. But is that really what everyone wants? Do we really think that this narrow version of success is what everyone should strive towards? The truth is, the American dream should look different for everyone because we're all different. And that's what makes America so special. For generations, we've celebrated the idea of a melting pot where people from all backgrounds bring their own beliefs, ideals, and dreams to the table. We do not live in a one-size-fits-all world, and success is something you can design and cultivate to fit your own ideals and lifestyle. And what feels like the ultimate goal to you might be completely different from what your neighbor down the street thinks. And when you slow down and ask yourself, what is it I'm actually working towards? You might realize that what you truly want is a much simpler goal than what you've been told you need to chase. Each day, we're bombarded and inundated with messages telling us we should always be striving for more success, more status, more stuff. Marketers and the media spend a ton of time and money persuading us to believe that happiness is just one click and purchase away. And if only we bought the next new shiny gadget or toy, we'd finally feel happy and successful. But what if good enough is actually enough? Guess what? You don't need to be the best at anything to live a great life. It's perfectly okay to not be the absolute best at all you do. And this doesn't mean you're doomed to live a life of failure. We don't live in a winner-takes-all world, even though we're constantly being told what we do. When you sit down every 4 years to watch the Olympics, do you really think that the athletes that don't medal are losers? Of course not. But the fact is, if you consistently aim for always being the best, you'll miss out on an awful lot of the fun part of life. You can still live a fulfilling life filled with love, laughter, and safe and secure place to live, even if you aren't the best of the best. I propose we aim for living a B+ life, one where you're self-sufficient, calm, and a good human with an adequate career. In the long run, this might just be the most sustainable and fulfilling way to live. The pressure to be exceptional at everything is exhausting and often leads to burnout. What if instead we channel Elsa and decided to simply let it go? The slow living approach to success. Slow living invites us to simply look only within, which means that we get to decide for ourselves what success looks like, rather than following an arbitrary set of ideals laid out by others. Instead of seeking validation, praise, or accolades from others, what if we stopped instead and questioned, do I actually want the things I've been told I should want? What brings me peace rather than pressure? Can I allow myself to embrace a version of success that feels right rather than impressive? For some people, having a high-power career that takes up the majority of their time feels like the ultimate goal. And there are other people who want to be in charge and have others look up to them, while others would prefer to blend into the background. Some people feel at home and comfortable in a fast-paced city environment, while others would prefer small-town vibes. And none of these paths are inherently better or worse than the other. And there are plenty of people who live in each and are happy and content. We do not live in a cookie cutter world, and our life would be pretty gosh darn boring if we were surrounded only by people who looked, acted, talked, and thought all alike. A slow, steady, and sustainable pursuit of happiness. Please don't delay feeling happy now because you believe that happiness occurs on the other side of an arbitrary goal you've set for yourself. You can choose to be happy even while working towards your goals. And please remember that your goals are highly personal. What you're working towards isn't going to be the same as your friends coworkers, or what you may have been taught in school or by your parents. Regardless of what you're working towards, you'll miss out on a lot of life if you put off being happy because you're waiting to achieve what you feel is the perfect job, house, or bank account balance. Happiness instead can be found in peaceful and calm everyday moments, such as sipping coffee on your porch, wiping dog drool off of your chin, and taking a walk in the morning dew or belly laughing with a friend. Hustle culture, social media, and marketers tell us we should constantly be upgrading our lifestyle, looks, and achievements. But true happiness isn't found in the relentless pursuit of better or found on the other side of an arbitrary goal. It's found in appreciating what we already have in the here and now. A slower, simpler American dream is one that prioritizes peace and inner contentment over prestige and material accumulation. The new American dream. Many people live pretty amazing lives, and often they are people who are simply living in accordance to their own ideals. Contrary to what you may hear and read online, many people have no interest in being internet famous or flying around in private jets. You do not need to be impressive or fancy in any way to live a life well lived. Living a B+ life doesn't mean you've settled. Instead, it means you prioritized your life in a way that feels fulfilling, peaceful, and happy for you, which is the epitome of success and my version of the new and realized American dream. So think about that. Think about that and take a deep breath and realize that however you're listening to me right now, chances are your life is pretty amazing. And if you put it on paper and you add up all of your pros and all of your cons, my hope is that your pros column is much, much larger. And if that's not true for you, okay, take a deep breath and figure out where is it that you're going? Where is your GPS pointed? And then in a slow, steady, and sustainable way, start to move towards your version of success, not the internet's, not society's, not hustle culture, but your version of the American dream and what feels good for you. Before I log off, I am going to drop a few other episodes for you to listen to. And if you listened to them before, listen to them again with some fresh ears and some new ideas, with the idea that a B+ life is what you're shooting for. Not glossy, not shiny, not perfect, not six-pack abs, but the kind of abs where you feel good in your skin, the kind of abs where you can crawl around on the floor with your future grandchildren and feel good, that good enough is good enough. Okay, 107, the American dream. 110, something from nothing, Erin's story. So in this episode, I had interviewed Erin Chase, who's the $5 dinner mom. And in it, we do talk about having hope and mapping out your version of the American dream. 122, zero-sum thinking. And that's sort of that idea that we are not living in a winner-takes-all life. 125, everybody has something. And that is true. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. Everybody has something. And then 154, shifting goalposts. You can't keep putting off happiness, contentment, peace, because you're chasing arbitrary goals or because you think you can't retire now because you want a little bit more money in the bank. Decide what your version of good enough is and meet it, and don't keep shifting those goalposts. Okay, pretty people. As always, I think you're amazing and wonderful and lovely. I'm super happy that you are here. If you have questions, comments, feedbacks, write to me. I'm a real person, steph@stephanieoday.com. I will get back to you. If you want to plop yourself on my calendar, you can do so. We can hop on a call if you want to work together, if you want to coach and kind of map out your own version of the American dream or your own version of a B+ life. Reach out to me. So that's at stephanieoday.com/mindset. We can talk about your most pressing mindset issue and work together. And you can see what it's like to have a coach in your pocket. Okay, pretty people, give yourself a pat on the back and a hug. I think you're amazing and wonderful. I'll see you again next week. Do you have a slow living story to share? Leave me a voicemail at stephanieodea.com/podcast with any questions, comments, feedback, or testimonials, and I will be sure to include it in an upcoming episode. Also, if you found value in this episode, please share it with your family and friends and subscribe through your favorite podcast provider. The more you share, comment, and leave positive reviews, the more people we can reach and share the slow living lifestyle and messaging. Thank you, Slow Down Society, and have an absolutely wonderful day.